Alright, so in this video, I want to go over something that people commonly run into when they're looking at solar, when they've spoken with multiple companies and they're comparing quotes. So suppose that you're in that position where you've gotten multiple quotes, you've spoken with the companies, and you're comparing and trying to figure out how to proceed. So suppose that all the quotes seem to meet your criteria, including the price, the system size being sufficiently large enough to meet your electricity usage, but not excessively large, where it's just more than what you need. And then suppose that the prices seem to align with what you're looking for, or at least within your budget. Um, and suppose that I guess, besides those things, how would you decide what to do? So that's why I wanted to put this video together, to make some suggestions about ways to do due diligence on companies to really get a clearer perspective on how to proceed. So just it can be kind of overwhelming. Solar is one of those things where the less you know about it, the more you think you know. And so there's a few things to look out for. Um, Overall, on a high level, there would be, what does the long-term reliability and quality look like of both products and installation, and what does the after-sales support look like? Okay, and those are the main things. And oftentimes, when you see companies that compromise, try to get a lower, offer a lower price to customers to win their business, then that's when we see more issues tending to crop up with those, with less or more higher risk of less reliability, lower quality products, installation, lack of customer support. So those are the main things we see. And the way to a good way to do due diligence on a company is, first of all, look at their reviews. Um, so if you have requested quotes through the Solar Quotes website, and that's a good first step, because the way Solar Quotes works is that Finn Peacock deliberately screens out and vets companies. So he only includes them if he's satisfied with their level of reliability, the quality of their installations. So that helps to avoid customers having issues. And he also provides a good, so this is we just want to show you something from the Solar Quotes website. So this is their good installer guarantee. You can see here that if you request to get Solar Quotes through the Solar Quotes website, then you they guarantee a good installation, and in the unlikely event that the promised installation isn't delivered, they'll engage another installer at their cost to make it right. And yeah, you can read there, if you believe the system's not been installed to the specification promised, then Solar Quotes will work with you and the installer to make sure that it is. Obviously, this only applies if you choose to get a solar system through a company that's been referred by Solar Quotes. Now, I want to go over warning signs to look out for when doing due diligence. So the easiest way to check is to check for warning signs is to look at the negative reviews, the 1, 2, and 3 star reviews, like on Solar Quotes, or on other on Google Maps, Trustpilot, and Product Review as well. All right. Now, before I give a walkthrough of what it looks like with doing due diligence, using us as an example, like by checking the reviews, one thing to note that can often not get picked up so much in reviews is the installation quality. And the reason for that is oftentimes because lay people don't have a trained eye for how to pick up non-compliant installations, then that can often get overlooked. So the 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 installation things things that can go wrong with insulation with it not being compliant include the cables not being in conduit, and I'll show you an example of that in just a moment. Um, it, because what that can lead to is that it can get water ingress inside of it. It can get UV exposure, which causes the cables to degrade and um, corrode. The water can cause corrosion. Um, and you can also have it doesn't have any mechanical protection, so it can you'd have vermin, for example, chewing at it like rats, and that obviously that wouldn't be good because then yeah, that would cause a fault, and then no more electricity production from the panels and batteries. So that's a common one with the improper installation for the cabling not being in conduit. If it's an outside, if it's an external cable, if it's if it's inside, then it doesn't need to be in an external conduit. So bathrooms, laundries, um, and garages are classified as non-habitable. And it also needs to be 600 millimeters horizontally and 900 millimeters vertically, not only from any windows that open to habitable rooms or doors, but also to appliances, and that includes air conditioners, it includes gas meters, gas pipes, gas hot water systems, any gas appliances. Um, it includes hot water, heat pumps, does not include water tanks. It does not include switchboards, electrical switchboards. So batteries can be within close to them. It doesn't include water pipes as well. Obviously, it's not a good practice to um, install close to a water tap, for example, where a water tap could drip onto the battery. Well, we've seen there's an example of that uh, on the Crap Home Battery Installations page on Facebook. So just to recap what we discussed so far, we got the clearance requirements and from with batteries, as well as the cables. Yeah, and any installation requirements around the cabling, like so because lay people aren't often aware of how to check to see if an installation is compliant, and it's often not reflected in the reviews, then one way to check is to check on like the company's posts on their social media, but then that can be hit and miss because they may not post as well their installations. So that can leave you kind of in the dark and taking a risk because unless you can actually verify by looking at actual installation photos and not just like it needs to be like close up of like not just like wide level area zoomed out shots, but you need to be able to see like the details of how the cabling runs and how batteries installed, where it's installed, that sort of thing, to check to see if an installation is compliant. So again, the cables need to be in conduit, they need to be mechanically protected. That's according to Australian standard, the AS 3000 wiring rules, specifically clause 3.9.4. So you could download or you can buy the Australian standard to check that yourself, or you can use AI to check, get a summary for you, but it's always best to actually consult the actual standard rather than summaries and so forth. So I spent a couple of hours reading up on wiring rules and quite frankly in installation standards, and it gets pretty confusing. I'm in a renewable energy engineer that's been working in this industry for over 10 years. So for an average Joe Blow, it can imagine it would be get pretty confusing to do due diligence into understanding installation requirements and Australian standards, and then knowing how to scrutinize installations, photos of installations, to make sure that they're compliant and follow standards, and actually having access to those photos, which might not be consistently available from companies if they're not sharing it on social media. So, in addition to checking the 1-star reviews to see the after sales support, the reliability, like avoiding any faults with systems failing, avoiding issues with low quality products and installations, that the installation quality might not be reflected well in the reviews. So doing due diligence on that separately is important by looking at photos on social media. And so if you can't find that, then it might be best to steer clear of the company, to avoid any uncertainty about what the installation quality is like and whether it's consistently compliant or not. So this video's gotten pretty long and complicated, but in summary, it does seem best to go through solo quotes if you're getting quotes rather than trying to figure it all out on your own or just hoping and praying that you won't have any issues. But even with going through solo quotes to get quotes, does help to look at the low quality reviews to give you an indication of what can go wrong, what has gone wrong with customers of that particular company, and whether you could face the same issues. So I hope this video has been helpful, and feel free to contact me or leave a comment below if you've got any questions. So take care and stay safe.